When longtime Oregon Congressman Earl Blumenauer announced he was retiring next year, it didn't take long for one prominent Democrat to throw her hat in the ring for that 3rd congressional district seat. Multnomah County Commissioner Susheela Jayapal resigned from the commission on Wednesday and announced she's running for Congress in the 3rd district, which includes parts of Portland all the way to Hood River. Jayapal was elected to the Multnomah County Commission in 2019 after working as a corporate lawyer, including as general counsel for Adidas America. Susheela Jayapal joins me now on Eye on Northwest Politics. Thanks for being here.
Good to be here. Thanks, Ken.
Well, your sister, Pramila Jayapal, is already in Congress. She's chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Congressman Blumenauer is a member of that caucus as well. Do you and she share the same policies?
We, I think not surprisingly, having grown up with the same parents, having come through many of the same experiences, coming to the United States as young women at 16 to go to college, we really are very aligned in our values. And so, yes, you know, we are aligned in our values and the policies that flow from those values. And then at the end of the day, Ken, this election is going to be about me and my track record and why I'm running. And I'm very excited to be able to be in this position.
Has she given you any insight as to what you may expect if you're elected?
I have been so fortunate to have a window into what it's like to be in Congress. Everything from the nitty-gritty of what is it like to fly from the East Coast to the West Coast once a week or twice a week, to the real frustration of serving in a Congress that is as divided and as stuck as it is, and then also to how meaningful the work is when you're able to stand up and fight for the policies and the values that you believe in. So yes, I've had a tremendous window into all of that.
Why did you decide now was the time to run for Congress?
You know, I think when you're in public service, you're always thinking about where the best space is for you to be of service. And I had thought about Congress for some time. I think we are in this really pivotal moment, whether it's in the region or in the state or in the country, where we have come out of the pandemic and we're still dealing with the repercussions of that. At the same time, we have the Republican Party under the thumb of its extremist right wing, democracy under attack, rights that we have depended on for decades, the right to abortion in particular, being rolled back, and the progress that we have made, including so many of the things that Congressman Blumenauer has worked on, infrastructure, climate change, the progress we've made under threat. And at the same time, these really significant, serious local challenges as well. So, you know, it has been my honor to serve at Multnomah County for the last 5 years. But what I want to do is continue that work at Congress, that is fighting homelessness, fighting for affordable housing, fighting for living wages, and also to be able to tackle the protecting our democracy, standing up for our rights, making sure that we have a planet that we can leave to our children and to their children. So those were all of the things that led me to decide to run.
What do you think would be your #1 priority if elected to Congress?
You're going to make me choose. You know, I think climate has to be our #1 priority. That is an existential threat to all of us, to our children, to our grandchildren. Very close behind our housing and homelessness and many of the other things that I mentioned.
You recently voted against Multnomah County issuing a unified statement in support of Israel and a resolution to light the Morrison Bridge, visualizing that support. Chair Peterson, Vega Peterson, used her executive authority to do the bridge lighting anyway. But explain your position, explain your view on this debate and what's happening in Israel and Gaza.
Yeah, absolutely. So to clarify, I was very clear that I supported the lighting of the bridge. I condemned the attack on Israel by Hamas. It was an act of terror. It was appalling. I staunchly support Israel's right to defend itself. And I believe that it has an obligation, as all nations do, to execute a war or this conflict in abidance with international law. And I believe we have to recognize the suffering of Palestinians as well as the extreme suffering of Israelis. So those were the things that I mentioned in my statement. You know, I think that as the conflict draws on, what I think of is the violence and the effect it's having on Israelis and Palestinians. And I urge the parties to consider whether this is the best path forward, to take some time to get hostages out, which we're already doing, to ensure that aid gets in, humanitarian aid gets in, and to think about how the region can move towards safety and peace for everybody there.
Would you support continued financial support to Israel as well as Ukraine, for that matter?
I support humanitarian aid and military aid where necessary and with appropriate conditions, such as we're going to wage our conflicts in accordance with international law to both Ukraine and Israel.
You're leaving the Multnomah County Commission at a critical time. The county trying to deal with the homeless crisis, also the county having a hard time, at least historically, trying to get those homeless dollars out the door. So what do you see as happening in Multnomah County, even though I know you're leaving, but why has Multnomah County had such a hard time dealing with the homeless issues here?
So, first I want to say that some of the issues that I have worked so hard on at Multnomah County are issues that I'm going to take to Congress. For example, you mentioned difficulty getting dollars out. One of the main reasons for that difficulty was that our nonprofit organizations that do so much of our homeless services work were having trouble hiring workers because the wages are too low. So the issue of living wages for everybody, and in particular our frontline workers who are doing this critical job, is one that I have advocated for, got wage increases for those workers while I was at the county, and will continue to advocate for living wages for all people when I'm in Congress. Another piece of, of why it's so critical to have strong leadership in Congress in order to be able to address these local issues. The roots of this homelessness crisis lie in federal disinvestment from affordable housing, decades of disinvestment. I really want to appreciate Congressman Blumenauer again. He has actually put together a very comprehensive report and plan for a roadmap for what the federal government needs to do in order to address affordable housing and address homelessness. And those are things that I'll continue to work on as well.
What do you think is your biggest accomplishment? We got about a minute left. What do you think has been your biggest accomplishment as a Multnomah County Commissioner?
I have had a range of things I've worked on over the last 5 years. Securing those higher wages, I'm very proud of that. I want to mention a couple of things that I've done in partnership with local community, because I think my relationships and the trust I've built with community is so important. One was that I have secured a $2 million federal grant that is going to go to a coalition of neighborhood organizations in the Cully neighborhood to help them develop public safety strategies that they think are going to be effective in their neighborhood. And the other I'll mention is that I brought the county to the table with Portland Community College when PCC was developing its brand new Opportunity Center on 42nd and Killingsworth. Out of that came a partnership where the county is going to have a health clinic in that building. It's going to allow us to serve more than twice the number of people we could previously and create a path for workforce development for our health clinics.
Former Multnomah County Commissioner Susheela Jayapal, thank you for joining us on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you so much.